Me with my depressed colleague who has accused me of bullying him. We have a 39 female OP and a 44 male depressed colleague. Original post, June 24th, 2017. I manage a team of 12 people, and last year I had a 13th member added when other managers refused to deal with him any longer. He is diagnosed with depression and generalized anxiety disorder. He is morbidly obese and suffers from muscular skeletal problems related to the obesity and diabetes. When they came to me, it was because I have helped other mentally ill staff members and was happy to take them on as I felt I could help them. We did make progress and steadily increased their level of work. It has never reached the level considered acceptable, but I made accommodations to relieve pressure, hoping this would lead to a sustained long-term improvement. I sought out equipment to help them be more physically comfortable given their obesity. I felt we were making progress. Unfortunately, they committed a serious breach of security, sent out personal information to someone not legally entitled to have it, and I had to place them on formal disciplinary action. Since then, they have been on sick leave for over 3 months. They are now subject to attendance management procedures and have reached out to a local mental health group and advised them that I have bullied and harassed them. This bullying and harassment has, according to them, made it impossible for them to return to work. I have documented evidence that this is not true. When they were told they needed to move away from me for health and safety reasons, they became very distressed and demanded to stay with me for mental health reasons. Hold on, so you're saying this person reported that you were bullying and harassing them, and then when you provided evidence and they were told to move away, then they started saying that they needed to stay with OP for mental health reasons? What? I have signed documentation where they state I am supportive and they don't want the reasonable accommodations I have offered. Shorter days, fewer days, longer breaks, etc. I have a meeting with them and their support workers from the mental health group, and I have no idea how to handle this. So how do I handle it? I can prove they are lying and they have a pattern of lying to get themselves out of trouble. I have no concerns about my bosses. So how do I handle it? I can prove they are lying and they have a pattern of lying to get themselves out of trouble. I have no concerns about my bosses because they are well aware that this is an utterly unfounded allegation. My worry is that they are completely unsuited to the job, and because they point blank refuse to acknowledge they are in any way responsible for the mistakes they are making, it is impossible to correct them. I love that OP has been willing to work with them through their mental health issues, because everybody's got it and everyone needs support at some point in time. I truly believe that. But it feels like he's weaponizing his mental health. He's using that as a counter to the fact that he fucked up, and he won't take personal responsibility for the fact that he fucked up. He shouldn't be sending personal information out. They tried to accommodate him. He fucked up, and now he's using the thing that they were trying to accommodate for to hurt somebody else's career. Even if you can't fire someone for that, to me, it's just uncomfortable having him there, not only for everybody around him, but also for him. Can you respectfully ask somebody to leave? I think they should figure out how to get this dude out. Obviously, I have no corporate world experience. No matter your level of mental health, I just truly think that's unacceptable. They're probably trying to be careful so they don't get a lawsuit. I mean, bruh, sent out personal information to someone not legally entitled to have it. I think that's a good enough reason. Depending on the contract, company termination procedures may mandate a PIP, personal improvement plan. I mean, maybe it wasn't official, but it sounds like they implemented some sort of PIP. Dude, it sucks that you have those mental health issues, but you can't weaponize them. You can't use them to cover up when you fucked up. If you fucked up because of your mental health stuff, go get help for that. Couple of relevant comments here. When told to go to HR, OOP, I have spoken with our internal HR, but they are terrified that any accusations of bullying a person with mental health problems could be problematic, as it is a hot topic at present. I have referred the person for counseling internally, and they have told me repeatedly, documented, that they have taken up this service. My concern is this meeting is not an internal meeting. It is with people who specifically represent people with mental health problems, and I don't know how to respectfully say that the person is lying through their teeth without sounding like a bully. To be clear, their lies aren't malicious, and I don't believe this one is either. It is something said to solve an immediate need. So in this case, it is because they need to explain the amount of time they have had off sick, and admitting it is because of their own actions is too terrifying. So I am being bullied. means it's something that is happening to them and they have no control over it. The reality is they do have control over it, but they are so used to being the victim in all situations that they refuse to acknowledge this is not actually true. I'm confused what obligation OP has to go to this thing. Even if they did sue the company, it's not your problem, it's the company's problem. And also you have documentation that's like, this person is just lazy. Commodore Hugo and Kim responded to that saying, judging from your explanation here, it appears that you have an understanding and empathetic attitude towards this person and situation. That attitude, along with the documentation you have regarding accommodations you've offered, should go a long way in your defense. What exactly is he saying you've done to bully him? I am not a professional in this area, but have extensive experience working with people with mental health problems in social work / education settings. OOP, he believes that by pointing out his security breach and substandard level of work, I have bullied him. He doesn't allege that he isn't doing this, just that by expecting more, I am bullying and harassing him. I am making allowances. For example, other members of staff are expected to deal with approximately 16 cases a day accurately. I am happy for him to do 2 if he does them right. Unfortunately, he can do 2 cases, but not correctly. Unfortunately, by allowing him to work at a slower pace, he believes that he should be allowed the same scope of error that someone who is working 16 cases has. And such, he is being bullied by expecting him to get his 2 cases 100% right, when someone who is working 16 cases has an allowance for minor errors. It doesn't get more accommodating than that. OOP explains HR more. Yeah, HR's response is basically fire him, but don't leave us open to a lawsuit. It is not helpful because I don't want to fire him. He is not currently in a position to do his job to the standard required, but I don't want to detrimentally impact his future. He won't resign for health reasons as he feels it will prevent him from getting another job, and HR wants him gone without actually doing anything. I'm stuck in the middle because as manipulative as his mental health issues are, they are real. Maybe this is really shallow of me to say, but like at a certain point, you gotta watch out for yourself. Like at the end of the day, this is also your team and your job, and if this man is severely underperforming and like ruining your ability to perform your job well, bro, you gotta watch your own back. Like you gotta fire this guy. You did your best. You did as much as you could, and this man is making your life worse. Even if this somehow gets resolved, do you still want to work with this man and him potentially have another situation or issue like this? Or like, God forbid, not even be able to do his job correctly and get those 2 cases 100% correct. I love OP's empathy, but at a certain point, you gotta be like, holy shit, I gotta take care of myself. OP also put in here, if I wouldn't get fired for doing it, I'd post a copy of the 4-page email I got in response to my specific questions. It was large swaths of the DDA copied and pasted with vague remarks about support, reasonable allowances, and work-life balance. I can only assume they put someone's idiot nephew in charge of the email box on the day I contacted them. They are centralized and are notorious for not giving out specific instructions for fear of having them challenged. Their main purpose is to protect themselves. I have no idea how they keep their jobs, to be honest. Last comment from OOP. Thank you. His previous warnings have been well documented and evidenced, so I am not too concerned about legal action. I was just really thrown by the accusation of bullying and harassment and had built up a scenario where I was going to be attacked by his advocates. The great responses like yours have put my mind at ease. It is sad that he has cast himself as the victim in all this, but I am determined not to be drawn into that mindset, and I won't allow myself to cast into the role of their oppressor because it is simply not true. I heard a quote the other day. It was like, it's not your fault, but it is your problem kind of thing. I love when people are accommodating or supportive. Like, obviously, I think that should be how it is if you have mental health issues, but at the end of the day, like, you can't use that as like an excuse or even like a weapon to not be able to do your job. OP is giving them as much leeway as they possibly can without this man literally just walking in, sitting there doing nothing all day and collecting a paycheck. We have an update, September 18th, 2017, 3 months later. Well, the meeting went ahead as planned, and thanks to the wonderful advice and tips from people who kindly responded, I was calm and thought I was prepared. Boy, was I wrong. My colleague and his support worker were both there, and the meeting started really well. I asked how he was doing, what steps he was taking to prepare himself to return to work, etc., and nothing unexpected came up. As arranged, I brought up the allegations of bullying and asked for some specific examples to help me understand what was happening. After worrying myself sick about this, His answer was actually pretty disappointing. He gave no examples and only offered vague explanations about his anxiety, making him overreact to other people's conversations, which made him feel like he was being picked on. I advised him, and my boss backed me up, that there was literally nothing I could do about that. I patiently explained that I could not ban people from talking, and I would not sit in silence in order to ensure he never heard anything he didn't like. My boss stressed that his poor performance needed to be addressed, and that was part of my job, and that doing it was in no way harassment. His support worker did agree with that, and we had a brief chat about how I could better communicate. To be honest, there was nothing they said that was particularly helpful, but I did agree to be mindful of their condition moving forward. Then it got weird. I asked if there was anything I could do to help him transition back into work. This normally involves a phased return, changing to part-time hours, etc., but not this time. As I was talking, he started taking paperwork out of a folder, and I should have realized something was up when his support worker sighed deeply and slumped down in his chair. My colleague requested that he be allowed to bring an emotional support animal to work with him, namely a support cat. I love my fluffy little idiot. That's my man. He emotionally supports me. Here in my apartment, I would never bring Beans anywhere. If I had a job where I had to go into the office, like, I would not want to bring him with me. You gotta bring a whole ass litter box. You gotta bring food. I feel like cats in general are more assholes and like distracting. That's a little ridiculous. I can't even lie. We are in the UK and this is not the norm, so I was a bit surprised. He had not settled on a breed yet, but was torn between an Abyssinian or a Siamese. This bitch isn't even gonna adopt, not shop. You can't be like, oh, emotional support cat, and I'm gonna buy into the unethical breeding. Like, pfft. I thought pointing out some obvious difficulties with this idea might make him realize how inappropriate this would be. For example, I pointed out we have a guide dog in the building for a partially sighted colleague. His name is Rufus and is by far the most popular person in the building. The dog, not the human. And they may not get along with a cat. He responded by telling me that it was illegal to discriminate by favoring one disability over another, and if a blind person could have a guide dog, a depressed person could have a cat. Oh, fucking no. I fear he could potentially be eating, but like in a bad way. Like, he's probably right, but this is a very bad idea. I moved on from this clearly idiotic point and asked how a cat would react to being placed in a pet carrier twice a day to travel to and from work. He advised me he would train the cat. My boss became very agitated at this point, demanding, how the hell do you train a cat? Not to be deterred, my colleague stated that in the worst case scenario, he would leave the cat at work overnight and only take him home on the weekends. Not only the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, also just mean to the cat. You're just gonna leave bro there by himself? Like, oh, there's no way this could go wrong. I asked how he intended to cope with litter tray cleaning, etc. Given his serious weight issues, bending down to empty a litter tray would be difficult for him. He presented me with a spreadsheet he had created with a team rota for cleaning up after the cat and feeding. This guy has put more work into providing evidence for this cat than he has in his entire job, and that to me is a problem. Oh, let me get an emotional support cat, but make it everybody else's fucking problem. I would get sued, but I would fire him. He had also costed out food, insurance, and the actual cost of the cat on said spreadsheet, had an expected donation from each team member on a sliding scale depending on how he perceived their financial circumstances to be. I was paying the most as I am single, earn more, and have no dependent children. The spreadsheet was quite impressive, color-coded and everything. I politely said no to that, and he then started insisting the company should pay as it would be a legitimate business expense to accommodate his disabilities. At this point, I realized my boss was still repeating, how the hell do you train a cat? And the support worker was shaking his head and muttering, I told you not to do this. So I made a unilateral decision on behalf of my company and advised him in no certain terms that we would not be buying any cats. We would not be cleaning up after any cats because we would not be permitting him to bring any cats onto the premises. Thank God, bro needed to hear it. Put your whole dick on the table. He was not happy. He complained that I was making it impossible for him to return to work. My boss took a break from his cat training mantra to say that we had perhaps gone as far as we could for the time being, and we should end the meeting at this point. As we were leaving, he did make a point of telling the support worker there will be no bloody cats. The support worker nodded and agreed this was entirely fair. Dude, if the guy who came to advocate for you is like, yeah, this guy's fucking crazy, shut the actual fuck up. Put the cat spreadsheet away. If the guy who's supposed to be on your side pretty much no matter what isn't on your side, red flag. I didn't hear anything from him for a week or so, then received another 4-week sick note from him, so I called as per our company procedure to check in and see how he was doing. He was still very unhappy about my discriminatory anti-cat stance and advised he would be taking it further. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from what initially looked like a local solicitor's office. It advised me I was being sued for breaking disability discrimination laws. The letter itself was filled with bizarre, mainly American legalese that seemed to be culled from Law and Order episodes. On closer examination, the letterhead had been edited to change the contact details to his home phone number and personal mobile. I'm not sure whose address he used, but it wasn't the solicitors in question. I handed it to my boss, who also received one, so both were forwarded to our legal department. I was advised to have no further contact with him. The legal bods have informed me that his contract has been terminated with immediate effect. I am honestly stunned as to how it turned out. I half expected him to be terminated due to the amount of time off sick and his unwillingness to address his performance issues, but I would have never guessed it would end like this. It is both funny and sad. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to calm my nerves before the meeting. It really did mean the world to me. I don't know how it be in the UK, but like, isn't this impersonation? What was bro trying to do there? Not from the UK, but I lived there briefly, can also confirm that's illegal. For OP, this is perfect because that just means that this dude basically shot himself in the foot. Even if he maybe had some sort of legal something backing him up, which he shouldn't, but now I feel like he's completely shot himself in the foot. Like there's too much here for him to still be able to sue and not suffer consequences.